The NBA season is really back, boys. We've made it back in due time for the NBA season. And in today's video, I'm going to be breaking down all the games from December 22nd through Christmas. I hope you guys are having a great Christmas. I'm currently recording this on Christmas, but you guys should see it the day after. I added some new stuff to the setup. You guys saw the bobblehead over here, the Giannis bobblehead. You guys saw the Dante DiVincenzo hat. Actually, you didn't see that. Got some new jerseys. Got the Doncic jersey right there. It's hard. It's because it's mirrored. You know what I mean? Doncic jersey right here. Zion jersey over here. My favorite thing that I got this Christmas was this signed Sidney Moncrief magazine. Hopefully I can incorporate that into the setup somehow. Just let me know in the comments. I always like the comments. So first I'm going to be talking about the December 22nd games, and then we'll move on from there. At this point, since it's Christmas, a couple teams have played 2 games. The Bucks, the Nets, the Lakers, Clippers. So like things might change. Like I might talk about them the first time, and then the second time I'll say we took this away. But obviously this stuff is super early. It's just what I noticed. A ton of things happened. Like in this week, I was so interested and excited about this start of the NBA season. I think it could be one of the most interesting so far in recent memory. The different teams that showed up and everything. We'll talk about it in today's video. So make sure you subscribe for daily NBA content. I'm thinking about starting a second channel solely directed at the Milwaukee Bucks. So if you guys want to see that happen, make sure you let me know. And leave your comments down below on what videos you want to see. Leave your opinions. I love that stuff. That's what this channel is here for, is so I can talk to you guys about sports. So let me know, and let's hop straight into the 22nd. So the first game of the night was the Warriors losing by 26 to the Nets. Did I expect the Warriors to lose? Sure. I expected it to be a lot more competitive, though. If you watched my conference standings video, I was saying that the Warriors will get into the play-in. I watched them today, and I watched them on the 23rd, or 22nd, rather, and I think I was wrong. I was pretty wrong. The Warriors are bad. Steph shot 7 for 21 and 2 for 10 from 3, which is very inefficient. I mean, even for Steph. And then he did 20 and 10, which is nice. The big takeaway for the Warriors from that game was James Wiseman. We saw him play really, really well. He was on a minutes restriction, 24 minutes, but he got 19 and 6. He practiced with the team 5 times up until that point, so that's a super raw prospect. He only played 3 games in college, practiced 5 times with the Warriors, and now he's out here doing things like 19 and 6 in his debut. So that's very, very, very promising for the Warriors. But this game was all the Nets, and it started off with KD and Kyrie. It seemed like it was just back and forth. Like they were just taking turns getting their buckets on you. They were not going to let you defend them. They were out both in 25 minutes. KD put up 22. Kyrie put up 26. They put up 48 points combined. That's ridiculous. If they are completely let loose, I'm scared for what they're going to do to the league. So the Nets won big. A great opening night for the Nets, and it was pretty scary. It's like, are the Warriors in trouble? It's kind of what we're looking at when we're saying. We'll address it even more later on in this video. And then the last game of the 22nd, we got a nice little dose of the rivalry in LA, the Lakers and the Clippers. Clippers, surprisingly for me, won this one 116 to 109. There wasn't a ton of takeaway for the Lakers. I mean, they shot very inefficiently, while the Clippers shot extremely efficiently. The Lakers bench didn't play, obviously, up to standards, and I think if they did, they would have won. But the Clippers' takeaway was PG-13 might be back. I am one of the biggest PG-13 guys one of the biggest haters on PG-13. I don't trust him at all as a star or a superstar. I don't think he'd be the second option on the Clippers to get over the Lakers. But we saw him put up 33 on very efficient numbers. And when PG is looking like MVP PG-13, it's a scary sight for the other team in LA, and that means it's a scary sight for the rest of the league. It makes me think, and obviously this stuff is way too early, but is this team ready to get revenge on the rest of the league, especially the Lakers, especially the Nuggets, and go out there and dominate the West? Obviously the Lakers are a championship team, like a championship caliber team, right? Obviously it's not going to be a cakewalk, but can this team make it to the conference finals? Can this team get over the hump, get to the finals, and what looks to be like the last year of this experiment? So that stuff was really, really interesting. And that was only the first night of basketball, and then we had a full slate on the 23rd. So we're going to talk about that right now. The first game on December 23rd that anyone really paid attention to was an absolute banger. Celtics versus Bucks. top of the East matchup. And the Celtics won by 1 point by this Jason Tatum step back three over Giannis in his eyes, completely in his eyes. Giannis gets fouled on a tip-in with 0.4 seconds left, makes the first and misses the second free throw that would have sent it to overtime. An absolute choke by the Bucks and a great clutch up for the Celtics. This game was back and forth the whole time, but when you were watching, you thought the Bucks were going to win, so definitely disappointing. But the Bucks, had Giannis put up 35 and 14. Chris put up 20, 14, and I think it was 7. So definitely some good takeaways there. Dante DiVincenzo in the first half really had it rolling. He had 15 in the first half, was looking really, really good, and he put up 2 in the second half. And then we'll talk about a little more about Dante's disappointing second half in the rest of the video, because he played again today, and it was a lot of the same, where he put up 11 in the first half and then 2 in the second half, and you're like, what happened? But then for the Celtics, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown proved to be an insane duo, combining for 63 points. They completely led the way over a great Bucks team that looked really solid. I mean, the top 3 for the Bucks, I think, combined for 80. So that's absolutely ridiculous that those two could take them out. So kudos to the Celtics, and that was an absolutely amazing game. Moving on from that, the Hornets and the Cavs. And if you would have told me that the Hornets and the Cavs would have been there would have been interesting takeaways from that last year, I would have cried. There's no way I would have wanted to watch this game at all. But LaMelo Ball went 0 for 5 for the Hornets. Didn't score a single point, just like his brother Lonzo in his debut. But the Hornets had good news. Scary Terry put up 42 points, being totally worth his money. I can't wait to see how that goes down the stretch of the year. Is Scary Terry actually back to being Terry Rozier that got his money? Or is Terry Rozier just having a great game and then boom, he's out? Because there was an excess of guards on this Hornets team. Devontae Graham, Malik Monk, LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier. All of them are fighting for a spot. So it'll definitely be interesting to see, because I honestly had Terry coming off the bench. I didn't think he was good enough to start over these guys, and then he goes out there and drops a 40 piece. So Gordon Hayward looked incredibly good. He put up 21 very efficiently. He looked back to Utah Gordon Hayward. Maybe not quite Utah Gordon Hayward, but he looked really, really well. So that was exciting to see. And then Colin Sexton and Darius Garland combined for 49, which was nice. Yeah, the math is right. 49. Colin Sexton had a nice 27, and Garland had 22. So maybe that is a sign that small backcourt could work. When you have a guy like Drummond in the middle getting, I think he had 16 boards last night. This is the 23rd. So we'll see how that Cavs team really does. Kevin Love didn't really do so well. Isaac Okoro played pretty decent. So definitely a team to watch. I don't see them still sneaking into the playoffs, but a team to watch their development, really. The Pacers beat the Knicks, obviously 121 to 107. Domantas Sabonis, no matter how good he does, he'll never get any press. He put up 32 and 13 on incredibly efficient shooting. Victor Oladipo put up 21. Glad to see Vic back, really in form. Brogdon put up over 20. So nice big 3 cooking there in Indiana. And then the Knicks had a good sign, and believe it or not, RJ put up 26, 8, and 5, and I love to see that. I think RJ can be an incredible scorer in our league, and he showed flashes finally. He was a little more efficient too, which is always good to see from RJ Barrett. The Heat lost to the Magic 113 to 107. When you look at the box score, there's no doubt why. Terrence Ross put up 19 off the bench. Fultz put up 15. Fournier 25. Vooch 15. Gordon put up 20. How do you stop that? The Magic were running wild on offense. Fultz proved why he got his bag. Same with Gordon. Same with Fournier. Same with Vooch. Ross. All these guys. They proved why. The thing for the Heat, Jimmy Butler struggled shooting. Tyler Hero struggled to shoot. The thing that I want you guys to watch is Goran Dragic off the bench, because he looked back to all-star Goran Dragic. And even tonight's game against the Pelicans, this morning's game actually, he looked right back to all-star Goran Dragic. So if he can be an amazing six-man, I genuinely think he'll be in the six-man of the year race if he continues like this. The 76ers beat the Wizards 113 to 107. It looked like the Wizards were actually going to win this one. Russ put up 21, 15, and 11. Very inefficient, classic Russ form, but he still did it. And Beal put up 31, so that duo is working together. No one else really took a ton of shots, which I think is a negative for the Wizards. They're not really sharing the ball as much, even though Russ got a nice amount of assists. This is a little bit scary to see the offense as stagnant as it was. And then the Sixers obviously have some of the most dominant players in the league. Embiid put up 29 and 14. Ben Simmons put up 16, 9 and 7. Now, if you watch my previous videos, you know how high I am on Tobias Harris coming into this year, and he shot 3 for 13 and put up 10 points. So I'm nervous. I hope he does really well, but I don't know if this team is actually built to fit him. But then again, that was the first night of the NBA, or first night really of their season. So it'll be interesting to see where they go from here. The Pelicans beat the Raptors 113-99, which for you guys that might have been surprising, but like I said, I have the Raptors barely making the play-in. I don't really think that they are an amazing team. Zion put up 15 and 10 on 7 and 9, which is always good to see. And Lonzo Ball is the guy I really want to talk about from this game. He wasn't the second leading scorer or anything like that, but Lonzo put up 16, 5 and 5. He's coming off a hot second half of the season. When he had Zion, he played really, really well. I'm looking to see him going into this make or break year. On my Instagram, I put up a poll that was ask me questions for my next video. I'm going to do this answering all sorts of questions, kind of rapid fire kind of thing. And one of the questions was people going into their make or break years. And Lonzo Ball is perfect for that. So we're definitely going to talk about him. But I want to say that the hate that he gets, he was super overhyped coming into the league. In the first 2 years, he was super overhyped. But since he's played with New Orleans, I think last year he averaged 12, 7, and 6, 2.5 threes per game on 37.5%. It's a very, very solid point guard. First game of the year, he put up 16, 5, and 5 off the bench. You love to see it for Lonzo Ball. I think he's completely overhated. I like what he's doing. The Hawks beat the Bulls by 20, 124-104. For the Bulls, you saw Lauri Markkanen look back into prime Lauri Markkanen form. You saw Patrick Williams in his debut put up 16, and obviously Patrick Williams is a monster on the defensive side of the ball. So that was good to see for the Bulls fans. But the Trae Young effect, 37, the only player to put up over 35 on less than 12 shots. He did it on 12 shots. 37-point triple-double for Trae Young. Cam Reddish looked back to form, or looked what he would be coming out of Duke. I thought that he was going to be an absolutely elite shooter. Put up 15 relatively efficiently. That team looked really, really well with John Collins, Bogdanovich off the bench. Gallinari actually started, which is interesting. The T-Wolves beat the Pistons by 10, 111-101. Josh Jackson had a coming out party. He put up 19 for the Pistons, which is awesome to see. Killian Hayes had a decent game. He put up 7, kind of inefficiently, like a classic rookie game. But Anthony Edwards put up 15. Malik Beasley put up 23. I mentioned them just because it's not Cat and it's not D'Lo. I didn't expect them to do as well as they did. So a nice debut for Anthony Edwards and a great coming out party for Malik Beasley, proving that he could just be worth his money. To keep it going, one of the more interesting games of the night was the Kings and the Nuggets. The Kings win by an overtime tip in at the buzzer from Buddy Hield, who had a great game, putting up, I think it was 22. So the Kings won 124-122 over the Nuggets. The big thing was for the Nuggets was Jamal Murray's horrendous shooting. Struggled to put up 7 points. Michael Porter Jr. took on a little more of a scoring load, putting up 24. And then Jokic had a monster game, 29, 15, and 14. Almost a 30-15-15. So what a monster game from Jokic. Could we be seeing Jokic go for an MVP type season? I know it's really early for that, but could we? And also, does Michael Porter Jr.'s more scoring load affect Jamal Murray's shots? I don't know. I really did bet on Jamal Murray coming into this year. I also like Mike Porter Jr. a lot, so I think that'll conflict a little bit. And I'm excited to see them play some more games out. Phoenix beat the Mavericks 102-106. I said it wrong, but whatever. Ayton was pretty quiet. So for the Christmas Day games, we started off with the Heat and Pelicans. It was the early slate of the games. I watched that game personally, and I was so frustrated watching Duncan Robinson literally not miss a shot. It seemed like any shot he takes with any separation, he was going to hit the three. So that was weird. But Duncan Robinson looks like he's the future of shooting. He'll be able to hit almost any shot, and he's going to be like a Steph Curry type without the ball handling. Obviously, he's not Steph Curry, but with the shooting, he could be a top 3 shooter of all time. Jimmy Butler struggled again. He had 9 points. I think he actually left the game. And Tyler Hero ended up shooting 3 for 10. So Tyler Hero's had a super inefficient start to the season. But Goran Dragic had 18 and 9 off the bench. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the Sixth Man of the Year conversation this year. And then the Pelicans ended up losing that game, of course. Zion had an amazing game, 32 and 13. Brandon Ingram still had 28 alongside Zion's 32, so that's always a good sign when you have two stars that could coexist like that. And then I talked about Lonzo earlier, and one of his biggest problems is going to be consistency. And instead of putting up 16 again, put up 6, 6, and 2 on 2 of 8 shooting, and he didn't shoot a single shot from inside the arc. So Lonzo goes from being a really good player to not a good player. So we'll have to watch out for that, see what they do. He obviously did not reach a deal with the Pelicans for a contract extension, so that is interesting. The Warriors get absolutely slaughtered by the Bucks by 39 points, 138 to 99. James Wiseman looked good. 29 in 25 minutes, he had 18-8. But this game was all about the Bucks. Giannis struggled. He put up 15, but he shot it very inefficiently, which is weird for Giannis. Middleton had efficient 31. So good for the Bucks, but Dante DiVincenzo was the leading scorer in the first half and only scored 2 points again in the second half. So I'm concerned about that, just because Dante in the first half shows great potential, great flashes, but it never really amounts to anything. And then the Nets beat the Celtics by 28, 123 to 95. And this, to me, I know it's super early in the season, but it makes the Nets look like one of the best offensive teams in the league, like top 3. I didn't know if they could coexist. I think they can. Kyrie ended up putting up 37, 8, and 6. Kevin Durant put up 29 on 9 of 16 shooting. Like, they were efficient. They got it done. The only problem is, like, Chris LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, even though he left and he came back, they didn't get a ton of shots. So, I mean, when you're putting up 123 and you're beating teams like the Celtics by so much, does it really matter? No. But I do want to see how that does affect their other scores. The Mavericks lose to the Lakers 115 to 138. The Lakers just had an all-around good game. Montrezl Harrell played well. Dennis Schroeder played well. LeBron and Anthony Davis played well. But the Mavs had Trey Burke come off the bench, put up 17 points. They saw the Luka Doncic show again, 27, 7, and 4. Not as good of a game for Luka, which is weird to say because he almost put up 35 and 5, but you know that was the deciding factor there. And when you're looking at most of these games, it really is the efficiency battle. And then the last game of the night, the Clippers beat the Nuggets 121 to 108. Kawhi actually left that game. Paul George had a good game. It was really, again, another just all-around good game for the Clippers. They had Serge Ibaka show up for them. So the Clippers deserve that win. The Nuggets are back on track with Jamal Murray. Even though they lost, Jamal Murray is back on track. He put up a decent game, 21 points on 9 of 20 shooting. So that, it's not his best game, but again with that, as Michael Porter Jr. struggled, put up 10 points. So it is really weird to see. Maybe it'll be something where it's like Michael Porter Jr. is on, Jamal Murray's off, Jamal Murray's on, Michael Porter Jr. is off. So I don't know if I just said that, but definitely a very interesting slate of Christmas Day games. By far, though, I love those December 23rd games. Those were awesome. I think that this week was one of the most interesting in NBA recent memory, at least for opening week. I really did like these. I think there's a ton of storylines from them, and I decided to go through all of them with you guys. So if you enjoyed that, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one, all right? Peace.